Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We're back at you one more again. Now, tonight's episode is not live. It is a pre-recorded episode, but nonetheless, we're going to have a blast. First and foremost, shout out to my lovely wife, Takara. Appreciate everything you do. Appreciate you holding us down on the show. Appreciate everything you do for the fam in general. Y'all make sure y'all show us some love in the comments, but don't stop there, though. Make sure you show the channel some love as well. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, Hulk smash that notification bell so you can get notifications each and every time we drop a video here on the channel. Also, shout out to the audio only gang. Clutch Conversations is available on all major podcasting platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, more. When you're checking us out on your favorite podcasting platform, please be sure to follow, rate, and review. It really helps us out. We really appreciate the feedback. We definitely appreciate the support. Speaking of support, make sure if you're involved in this reptile hobby in any shape, form, or fashion, make sure you're supporting US Art and US Art Florida. The links for both organizations are in the description of this video. If you're not a member, definitely go grab your membership. If you're able to donate something extra, please donate what you can, and be sure to tell everybody about both these organizations. Spread the word. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Like I said, tonight's show is not live. We recorded this earlier in the week, but we're chatting with Leviathan Snakes. They're here to talk about their upcoming documentary called 15 Minutes, a ball python documentary. The documentary is centered around the Snakes and the Fat Man 15 Minutes of Lane contest, which kicks off next Friday, I believe. December 1st is when it kicks off. And so that's also when the documentary will air. But definitely make sure you stick around, check it out so you can hear about kind of everything that went into making the documentary and all the good stuff in that space. This was a dope episode. It's always fun catching up with Steven and Courtney, so make sure y'all check it out. So we're going to keep the intro. We're going to pay some bills and shout out the sponsors, and then we're going to get right to the show. Oh, yeah, and don't worry about why I got on a different shirt in the intro than I got on the show. That's none of your damn business. Shout out to the homie boss of the Sultan to support himself. We'll be right back.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lady, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool.
Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
Peace and love, family. We invite you into the heart of our serenity, Ancestral Royal Pythons. At Ancestral Royal Pythons, we're not just breeders, we're nurturers of love and growth. Each of our high-end ball pythons is a tribute to the grandeur of the natural world and our dedication to quality. Reach out today and bring one of our creations into your home. This is Ancestral Royal Pythons. Your journey begins here.
Here's to the exciting world of Ebony and Ivory reptiles. From unforgettable parties and events to keeping and hatching some of the dopest reptiles in the reptile hobby, we're all about education, quality, integrity, and respect. Hit us up and see how we can help make your next project a reality. Experience Ebony and Ivory reptiles, where fascination meets fun.
Ebony and Ivory reptiles.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, how are you doing?
What's going on, man? You having
Good.
all the fun?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, living the dream.
Some for the rest of us.
Yeah, so I appreciate y'all coming out tonight.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for having us on. We really appreciate it. And I apologize that Chris couldn't make it because we had forgotten on the whole scheduling stuff that he has a Sunday show.
No, it's cool. Like I was saying in the chat, like it was a bunch of scheduling snafus going on, but it ended up working out like perfectly. It was just ironic. It was like all the same people. That was kind of funny.
People.
It's like it worked out perfectly. So, but this gives us an opportunity to catch up, man, because it's really been like since Daytona, since we had the time to, like chat.
Yeah. No, we're super excited. So we got interviews since Daytona. We got interviews with Antoine, and that was the last big one that we needed for the documentary.
Did we have Shane's before?
Yeah, I think we had Shane's before because that was like earlier in the summer. But yeah, so we got Antoine's interview because he had moved from like California over to the East Coast, which made it so much easier. Like
Steven was ready to buy a ticket.
You're like, yes.
But yeah, so that was really, really nice. And after that, we were able to finish up the last little edits on the documentary by putting his pieces where they needed to go. And we got everything all finished and ready to export. And I had to re-export it 3 different times because I'd have like typos.
Spelling people's names wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. How long does it take to export it? I imagine it was pretty big, pretty large file.
I want to say, so the whole documentary is like an hour and 25 minutes long-ish. I think it took maybe like an hour or so to export. Like,
okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
It's
not bad at all.
But no, I would export it and then I'd upload it to YouTube to be like a premiere and all that stuff. And then every single time I would do that, there'd be like one track that always got flagged for copyright. So I'd have to submit an appeal. And then that'd get released and everything would be good to go. And then Chris would be like, hey, you spelled Brian's name wrong.
Brian with the Y.
Yeah. So then I'd have to go back in, re-export it, take down the old one. So anybody who had like hit the notification bell, they're just gone to the wind now. Like, and I'd re-upload it again. Everything would go fine, and then it'd be like, hey, Jared in the credits, you spelled his name wrong too. And I'd be like, take it down again, repeat the process.
You spelled Chris's name wrong too, I think, at the beginning. I think I caught that though.
Was it?
How'd you spell Chris's name?
I don't remember.
I don't even remember. I did. So there was like a thing. So we're actually
it was like Christopher or something, and it was super.
Oh
weird
no! But that did throw me. So we're getting VHSs for it. I don't know. It was like collector. We're actually getting DVDs printed for the documentary.
That's less weird.
But yeah, so we're getting like 100 DVDs printed, and we have like a movie poster for it. So Brittany Gobble had hooked us up by taking like this amazing photography for it, so that way we have like
nice.
covers, like her photography, as well as like the DVD jacket and all that stuff, and like the inside part. And we are getting all of the 100 posters. We're going to assign them so everybody who's part of the documentary.
100?
Yeah, there's 100 posters.
I have this. You can sign for me. You know my name.
But yeah, so we're doing that. And when I was Venmoing Chris like our half to cover it, his Venmo is Christopher Eaton. I'd be like, this is a scam.
Steven was like, that's
there's
not
no
right.
way. There's no way his name's Christopher. Like, so.
I mean, he makes that. So the thing is, he actually is like, yeah, I gotta talk to Chris. I gotta call Chris. He sent me his Venmo, but I think it's wrong. And I was like, why? What is it? He goes, it says Christopher Eaton instead of Chris Eaton. And I was like, hey, I have a surprise for you.
I still don't believe it.
Chris,
Yeah, he don't strike me as a Christopher.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
I do like the idea of people just starting to call him Christopher from now on.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Again, you say it like you went online and it said Nathan or something. It's the same name. There was one time I had a coworker. This is completely off subject. I'm sorry, but I had a
It's all
coworker
good.
named Prescott, and Prescott, always Prescott. And Steven has just always been Steven. And one time Steven visited me at work, and he came in the office, and I was like, hi, these are my coworkers. And Prescott stands up, and he goes, hi, Scott. And Steven goes, oh, nice to meet you, Steve. And I was like, why did both of you just make up nicknames for yourself? I've never heard either of you call yourselves that. Never.
Yeah. So
And you don't strike me as a Steve either.
You know, my uncle is Steve. He's not. But I wouldn't believe it if I. Yeah.
All right, so before we get too deep in the in the documentary portion, I do want to talk about the contest a little bit. So obviously, y'all were the 2022 winners of the contest. So talk about your path to winning in 2022 a little bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
Honestly, it starts with Courtney. So
It does not. I wanted to be on 15 Minutes of Lame, but I didn't really understand how the contest worked. I wasn't paying enough attention when Antoine was like running. So I just saw that he won. I just knew that he won the contest, and I didn't know anything else about it because Steven's much more into the like podcast and YouTube and all of that. So I had seen a couple episodes of Snakes and the Fat Man a couple years ago, but at that point I wasn't watching every episode and I didn't know that much about the contest. So I assumed whoever had the best interview, is who people voted for, or you just shared the link in your story, right? Like that's what you do. You share the link, and sometimes people vote for you, sometimes they don't. You can vote for yourself, whatever. And when Chris was like, okay, the voting opens this day and it ends this day, I was like, oh my God, we have to share his link every single day for 2 months. Like that's insane. And it was Steven. It wasn't me. It was Steven who was like, hey, I've got some ideas for campaigning. What do you think about like going all out? And I was like, what do you mean going all out? Like sharing the link twice a day? Like what do you mean? And he was the one who had the idea for like the campaign style videos where we were like, political campaigning. And then we shot maybe 12 of those.
Oh yeah,
we shot so many. We did them all at once. So you'll notice like Steven has the same shirt on in all of the reels and like a suit jacket, but I change for each video. Like I have a different top on or a different hairstyle in each one of them. What we would do is like we'd shoot a video, I would change my shirt out in the snake shop, and then we'd do the next one, and then I'd put my hair up, change my shirt, and then we'd do the next one. So we did them all back to back to back
for our first ones.
And so we started posting them, and they got traction. People liked them and laughed at them, but we actually have some that we never even posted because the climate shifted, right? Like things kind of changed when certain people took off or when other people started doing similar types. It was like, okay, well, we got to stay ahead. We got to switch it up a little and we got to do something different. So that's when we changed over to like some of the sillier stuff. But it was so much fun. I wish I could do it again.
Just curious, Mike, how
many times did you vote for us?
Yeah, how many times did you vote for us? All of them, every day?
I don't know. Like I voted for everybody that I knew multiple times.
Okay. And
yeah. But I voted a lot. I voted quite a bit.
Last year during the contest, what did you who were you paying attention to when it was going on? Like what were things that stood out to you?
So people who were creative, like people who posted like regularly, people who engaged with like other contestants, because it really became kind of like a communal type event where it wasn't just like the contestants going head to head. It was like people like kind of collaborating on stuff and like playing off each other. And I thought it was pretty cool, just kind of how everybody came together. Everybody was trying to win, obviously, but it wasn't just like super cutthroat, like I don't mess with this person or I don't mess with that person. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, definitely people consistently posting, because for a while there, it was all I was really seeing in my feed, like every single day was somebody posting about the 15 minutes of lane contest, somebody posting about the contest.
I think it was a lot of fun, and some of my favorite videos we did were like collaborations, and I really hope that some folks collaborate with each other this year, because we did those kidnapping videos. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I think it caught people off guard too. I don't think anybody was expecting it. Again, we just had a lot of fun doing it. And once we did one and it like really got like people, talking about it and stuff, we had to do like a couple more. But we did so many of the campaign style videos in the beginning. I didn't want to overdo it. So it was fun being able to do, we did like 4.
Yeah, I also really like Reggie taking like other just really popular, well-known videos and then putting like the reptile spin on it, like the him being a teacher doing roll
The
call.
Key and Peele. Yeah, that was all. I think that was his idea. Right?
Yeah, that was
all
his. Yeah, that was his idea, and it was so good. And I, to this day, like, I don't think he pronounced our name wrong, or he didn't pronounce our name right a single time. Even when he would be like, Leviathan Reptiles, it's like it's not even reptiles. Oh, he did a really good job.
He did. We've already had a few people. Well, I don't know if this is changing the subject, but we've already had a few people ask us about like some ideas that they have for this season, and ask us if we could be in them maybe. So we're excited about what they've told us about, and we did have someone, and I'm not going to say anything because it's their thing for them to share, but somebody who reached out and asked if we could record some stuff for them. And we did. We had a lot of fun doing it. And
Oh, nice.
But Stephen was like, "We're not making this all about ourselves, are we?" And I was like, "Well, they asked."
Right. Yeah. So, what do you think differentiated your campaign from all the other contestants?
I think that things that we did either, and I'm not trying to say this like conceited because I do think there's lots of people who did amazing stuff when we ran. I think that our production quality was better than pretty much everybody. Other people were just as creative and had just good of ideas, but we went all out. We had multiple cameras, we had studio lights set up for it. It was intense, and I think other people did great reels, but I don't think anybody else had that level of production quality. I think that helped us.
Yeah. I'm also really funny, so it's hard to compete with somebody who just has so much talent built up. So I think just seeing the people we ran against, right? I spent a lot of time on social media and on TikTok, for example. So I feel like I understand how funny videos take off, and a big part of them is brevity. Yeah. So if you have a funny idea and it's funny, but it's 5 minutes long, even if somebody stays and watches it the entire time, you're going to have way more people who stay for a 10-second video because our attention spans are not there. And it takes a certain amount of time to scroll. So if you have a 10-second video and you stay for 3 seconds of it, that's a much higher percent of that video watched than 3 seconds of a 5-minute long video. And the one that has the higher watch percentage and completion rate is going to do better, and it's going to hit more people. More people are going to watch it. So I think having quick, brief videos was really big for us. What did I just say? Did I just say it was really brief for us or good for us? I don't know why I started listening to something I was saying. I think it was really good for us, and it made our videos really take off. Also, Stephen shaved off his eyebrows. So.
I did shave off my eyebrows on Adam from Proper Royals Live, but I 100% was trying to get him to do it. So
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, I feel like that specifically when it comes to jokes and stuff, I think that Courtney does a really good job of writing jokes, because we would actually write out the jokes before they happen.
Nice.
And they would change, they wouldn't be just because we wrote it out.
Yeah.
But so Courtney would write a lot of the jokes.
Steven can't remember his lines, and so we'd have to make it.
So I think that one thing combined with the brevity of the videos, that way you get the higher view duration or percentage completion and all that stuff. I feel like that one thing that we really tried to make a point of is we would set up the joke, we'd hit the punchline, and then end. So that way when the video was done, people felt that it was oh, that was perfect, and it makes you want more.
Yeah, it makes you can watch it again and be like, oh my gosh, watch this, it's so funny. And it doesn't take, oh man, that reminded me of something.
Oh, but I was just saying again, when the video goes on too long, it might have been funny, but it's okay, you already played out this joke.
I think
Gotcha.
if you have one long thing like that, I think breaking it into segments is the way to go for things like Instagram Reels. I think a big thing like people complain about with like SNL is like, oh, it's funny, but it just keeps going on and on until it's not funny anymore. And I think that's what I was kind of feeling like when we were posting our Reels. Like I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So did you have a background doing that before?
Being
like writing funny reels?
It's
Or like writing funny social media content, I should say. Not necessarily reels, any kind.
I would say like for me on like just social media stuff, like my not first like career, my first like true marketing job that wasn't like freelance and all that I was the social media manager for the South Carolina Army National Guard. Really good job, loved it, but I feel like that may have like taught me skills for like the video production, but not about being funny. That was awkward. Like
that. So that's obviously a joke. We're both I don't think I'm the funniest person in the world. But for me it was just I watch a lot of stand up and I watch a lot of like videos, and that's just what I get from like, oh, these are the ones that I think are the funniest. These are the ones I send to other people, because when people send me a reel or a TikTok and it goes on for like 2 minutes, I don't watch that. That's too long, and it's their humor, right, that they thought I would like, and it's rarely like spot on. But if it's brief, I'll watch it, and then once a week I sit and I show Steven all the videos that got sent to me for the week, so he watches them again. So but we don't have any
comedy.
No. When I was in like college, right? You go and it's a new place and everything. And I was always very like, when somebody would compliment you, you'd be like, oh no, you know. And then I think one time I got like a kick out of being like, oh, I know, I'm fantastic. And it killed. People laughed. People thought it was funny. Or being like, oh, shucks. And so that kind of became a way to deflect when I was uncomfortable, was just to like lean into it and like pretend to be more confident than I actually was. And now that's just her personality. That's just how it is now.
Can't tell Courtney anything. Like
whatever works. Hey, I ain't hating. So I guess at what point did y'all figure, or did y'all feel like, hey, we kind of got this in the bag, or were y'all just kind of like on edge to the
Not once.
We didn't know.
Nope.
We genuinely did not know.
Reggie was right there behind us, and Andrew too.
And Jana,
Jana
too, yeah.
It is like, because we actually recorded our reaction to finding out about it, and that's in the documentary.
I was nervous.
Oh, like you can, like, I don't know if you like pay attention, but like once it's like coming up, well, like right about as the reveal's going to happen, which I mean, it doesn't matter because it's spoiler, because everybody who's going to watch it has already know.
We're sitting here talking about how we
yeah, you're right. But like I remember watching, like as I'm editing it, like you can see like my vein in my neck like pumping, because I'm like, what is about to happen? Like,
yeah,
we did not know. Like, we wanted to, and we had made a strategy at a certain point, and really it was Courtney who had made the strategy, because at a certain point during the contest, we started off and we pulled very quickly ahead and did very, very well right out of the gate. But within maybe like a week or two or so, Jana and Reggie were right there, and at a certain point, maybe like a month into the contest, we realized like you couldn't see how many like votes were going in each day, but we knew how many people were telling us that they were voting for us. And we're like,
we can't possibly get,
when they're still getting further and further ahead of us, we're like, there's nobody else that's going to be we can keep trying to maintain, but I don't know possibly who's going to like vote for us more.
I think Reggie, I don't think he teaches anymore, but I still think he coaches and stuff. So he was able to get like just huge amounts of people to vote for him and stuff. And we just couldn't compete with that. So I decided that, we'd switch it up and we would pander.
Focus on the judges.
Because y'all switched it to the judges, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
we just wanted them to laugh at us and think, like, when it was time for them to vote, be like, you know what? That was really funny. I liked that. And I know for a fact that's why Donato voted.
Oh,
for
yeah.
us.
Yeah. There was a specific reel that swung, because he was going to vote for Andrew, he told us. There was a reel that swung him from Andrew to us.
Yeah.
It was the bowl of spaghetti.
The spaghetti one? Okay.
So he did an interview where they're like, oh, what would you be like? Like, what would make it so that you wouldn't vote for a person? And he was like, well, don't go like bribing people. Don't be like, I'll
don't
give
give
you
me a free bowl of spaghetti.
Don't be like, hey, I'll give you a free bowl of spaghetti if you vote for me. And that was such a funny thing to say.
Donato's so Italian, like so Italian.
And I thought that, it tickled me. So I was like, we've got to like do something with that. And so like the blackmail and the bribe or whatever, that was just to
set up the bowl of spaghetti. Like,
yeah. And I think Steven's favorite was the Donato's ring light.
Oh, that was my favorite.
That was another one where they were like, that same interview, they were like,
Donato just, like, I swear to God, he put a spotlight behind him and then put the camera so it looks like he's like incognito, like he doesn't want his identity known. Like,
so they made a joke that like any of that night's proceeds would go to a Donato's ring light fund. And just the idea of like needing a fund to buy a $13 ring light was so funny. We tried to do like an ASPCA
fundraiser.
No, just SPCA.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Sarah McLaughlin. Did I get that name right?
I think so.
I think so.
A stroke right now.
That's how I would say it.
Okay.
So you're in good company at least.
Oh my gosh. But we tried to make it. I think we actually used Arms of an Angel.
Yeah. But no, it was great. I had a lot of fun last year. No, are you having a stroke? Is it toast? Is that what you're like? She's gonna have a stroke. She's gonna have a heart attack right now on your live. Well, I guess this isn't live.
It's not live, but I won't edit it out. No, I'm kidding.
No. I'm sorry. I just thought I smelled something burning.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Do you smell anything?
We y'all cooking?
No. That's fine.
Uh-oh.
You don't smell anything? Okay, actually having. Yeah, you can make it.
Check outside real quick and make sure.
Steven's going. I smell it. I don't know.
That's scary though. Like when you smell something burning, you're like, wait, what's going on?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
We good to go?
Yeah.
I guess so. I'll let you know when I collapse.
When I said this episode was gonna be fire, that's not what I meant.
That was good. Sorry, guys.
So, how did the reality of participating in the contest compare with like your expectations? Was it pretty much aligned, or was it totally different?
Oh, it was. So I would say
fun.
before it was so much fun. So I would say before we did it, I knew that there was a contest coming up, but before we had like the idea kind of like about the campaign and stuff, I just did not think that we were going to win. I was just like, there's going to be somebody else. Like there's so many other people who are been in the hobby longer, who have like more connections, who are funnier than us, and there's just no way that we're going to win. And I think that going into it, like even when we first decided we were going to go out, we weren't necessarily thinking we were going to win. We were thinking that if we can get like a buzz around us, just simply getting the buzz from like the reels might help like recognition for our brand, might push us out into the community into a way that we hadn't been able to do before. And because a lot of our content that we put out online is not funny, it's more educational, and it's more of just like the snakes on like Instagram. So we were kind of looking at it from like, all right, we're going to compete. We want to win, but we don't think we're going to win, but we still find a value in it. And I'm so happy that we did. Like even beyond winning, it was just a blast. And people still talk about it like to this day. We'll meet people and they'll be like, oh, when you did the like pictures on like you're replacing pictures of your family with the judges.
This live has just turned into us reliving our real. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. That's what I wanted to do.
Honestly, so to me, what it did for me is like seeing the next contest start up, I'm feeling jealous. Like I am jealous, and he is just slamming that stuff. I'm sorry. I'll start.
It's all good.
I am so jealous of the people competing. I want to join them. I want at a certain point, Chris to do the contest as like a Hunger Games like finale.
Champions contest.
Yeah, so I want to compete against Antoine, Shane, whoever wins this year. I want to like, you know, just destroy those guys. Just absolutely murder everyone. There's also one.
You hear that, Antoine? You hear that, Shane?
Actually, I did a live with Chris and Brian the other morning, and I was in it. We were talking about like, oh, what do you guys do if the two of you don't agree on who you're going to vote for? And I was like, oh, we'll just take Shane out and we'll split his vote. And Shane wasn't in the live, but like the next day he had commented on it like, oh, you're going to take me out, huh?
So who are this year's judges?
Us. Yep. So it's
we
us.
share a vote.
Yeah, we share one vote.
Okay.
And then it's Shane Kelly from Small Town Xotics, and then Donato Senor from Blind Mice Reptiles. And then Antoine is the tiebreaker if there's a tie. Because it goes, the popular vote is 25%. Each judge vote is 25%. And then, like, let's say that the popular vote is one person. Every single judge votes for somebody else. That's a four-way tie. Antoine would pick the winner. Or if it's like the popular vote and one judge votes for somebody, but then two other judges vote for a different person, Antoine would also pick the winner.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That maths.
Yeah.
So is there anybody who y'all are looking forward to seeing participate in the contest? Like anybody specifically? Obviously, everybody doing it and having a lot of fun, but is there anybody you got your eye on in particular?
Yeah,
Yes.
so we are coming in at it really impartially. We have a lot of friends that are running. But we were actually talking about it today, the people that we're most excited to see from. One, I am really excited if one of the people that, if someone that we don't list impresses, like if someone that we're not expecting
comes out of nowhere and crushes it, we're so excited.
So excited for that. So if you're watching this and you're in the contest and we don't name you, that doesn't mean that you don't have a chance. I want to see you put stuff out.
Honestly, I'd almost say that sets them up for a better thing because we're not expecting them. Because if we expect somebody to do well and they like disappoint us, and we're like, I can't vote for them now. Like,
Brandon Nixon at Nixon Reptiles has really high like quality of video.
He has amazing production.
He has the most beautiful videos. So I'm really excited to see like what he might do. I think he has some really creative like reels and funny reels that he's posted before. So I would like to see what he puts out. Jake Hull from the Amphibiarium was putting out videos even last year before he was in the contest. So I'm excited to see his. Taylor and Danny from Chakra Scales, they also put out videos all the time. So, and they're funny. So I'd like to see their stuff. Troy from Balls and Strikes, I think has already mentioned wanting to, do more videos and learn more about videography to compete in the contest. And he's a funny guy. So I think that would be good. And then
one thing I would say though, while I do feel like that, like the videos and the campaign is super, super important, there are other criteria that we actually have that like you have to, it's not just like somebody who does amazing videos, but that's it. Like there's other things that we consider too. Like one of the biggest things that for us and Antoine and Shane, I feel like is whoever is going to be the champion for 23, them like
carrying on the
title. Like you don't want it to be where it's like Shane got it, Antoine got it, we got it, and then the next person to get it if like 3 years from now they're out of the hobby.
Yeah.
Like
Donato doesn't care because he I'd like to see him compete next year. Get him on the 15 minutes. Chris wouldn't like that I said that because he's so proud of eyeballs.
So what about people who don't compete? Why do you think some people choose not to compete?
It's intimidating.
Yeah, and I think now they actually, if they agree to be on 15 Minutes of Blame, Chris says like you have to compete essentially. Like when you initially do it, doesn't mean that they absolutely have to.
It's not legally binding,
but it is like a
heads up. Like that's
like, and if you're like, if Chris asks you to be on 15 Minutes of Blame, and you're like, that's great, I'd love to do the interview, but I'm not going to compete. Like then he'll be like, never mind. Like,
gotcha.
So it is I think that before this year, some people didn't compete because they felt that a couple different things. One is they didn't feel confident on like putting themselves out there in that way, and it is intimidating and it is scary. Like it's hard. I know, not necessarily from this contest, but when we very first started doing YouTube videos, I was so nervous and anxious about recording myself that I would not let Courtney be in the same room as I recorded. Like it felt like I was singing in front of people.
He wouldn't let me be on the same level of the house.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I either had to be outside in the backyard or upstairs while we recorded.
I was so self-conscious over it that it just, I can completely see somebody who doesn't have that experience of being in front of the camera being like, I just feel weird and I don't want to put myself out there that way.
It can be intimidating. Like, after the show, not to cut you off, but I had Antoine on the show a few months back, right? And so after the show, we were talking, and he was like, man, like he was like giving me my props and saying, man, I'm so proud of you, because I remember like when you first got in the hobby, you would sit there on the Zoom camera like, oh shit, I really don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here. Oh shit, I'm on camera. But now like you're just willing to talk in front of the camera and stuff like that. But it's intimidating at first. Like it's not something that I was comfortable with.
I think the first time we did your show, we were like, oh yeah, how do you like it? And you're like, I'm terrified. This is not my thing. I'm doing this because I'm not comfortable with it, and I need to like go outside of my comfort zone to and I think you're doing great.
Oh yeah, you're killing
it. I appreciate it.
And anybody who's watching this, whether it's for the contest or if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel or anything like that, just like everything else, talking in front of a camera is a skill that you develop and get better at as you practice. It just happens. Eventually, it comes to the point where it doesn't really bug you anymore, and it will come to that point because, like I said, I was so self-conscious of it, but it doesn't even bother me now. Just do it. You just got to do it, though, and it's going to suck and it's going to be hard at first, but just do it.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody just do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not even saying I'm like super good at it or whatever, but I mean, I just at this point I just don't care. It's like sometimes I probably do look stupid, sometimes I probably do sound stupid, but who cares? Just get out there, do it.
Jumping back to the question, so that was one on thing is I
She
think
was
that
like,
people
don't interrupt me.
Like I was saying.
All right. So I think that there's like, if you aren't used to being in front of the camera, it can push you way outside your comfort zone. And I think that that's part of the reason why some people didn't do it. There were amazing people who competed, who went outside of their comfort zone. And we still talk about their reels today. We still talk about the stuff, and that the contributions that they made to the contest and the contributions that they made to the reptile community by just being funny and putting themselves out there, I think is so valuable. And I 100% think people should do it. The second thing is I think that there were people who felt like that they had a big enough profile or a big enough brand that they didn't have to compete, and that people should vote for them because they had a ton of followers or that they had a really big brand or something like that. And I think that of anybody, you even talked about it in your live, it is kind of frustrating when you have people who aren't putting in any of the effort and expecting to get results, while you have people like Reggie, like Jana, like Brian, like Andrew, that are just crushing it and pushing themselves out there. And it's just, I don't know. That's the other thing, is the people who think that essentially that they were too good to compete.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, if you don't want to do it, just don't do the show. I mean,
that makes sense. So talk to that person who maybe did 15 minutes a lane. Maybe they're kind of on the fence about whether or not they want to compete, and they're thinking about not competing. Talk about some of the benefits of competing in the contest.
Oh, I think we still get people who come up to us and like mention things that they saw us do. And I know so many people. So, there's only, there's the voting, and then you have like the winner and all that. But people still talk about other 15 minutes of blame contestants from Antoine's season, from Shane's season, from our season. People will talk to us and be like, oh, I loved this about when y'all were campaigning. Oh, and then when Reggie did this, or when, so-and-so did this, when so-and-so did this. Oh, do you remember when Shamir did that? Like people still remember those things. They remember it and they think about it in a positive way. And I think that is so valuable. You can't pay for that,
Mm-hmm.
and there's it's nothing but positive. Nobody's gonna be like, I hate that guy because he posted a funny video. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're...
Even if you post a bad video, you can still get remembered because somebody else might take your bad video and turn it into something that's
and
really
make
funny.
fun of you for it. Yeah. I think... Sorry.
I
think it's just good publicity.
I also think it provides a perfect, amazing opportunity for anybody who's in the contest to collaborate with people both in the contest and outside. It's so easy. It's such a good excuse to be like, hey, I'm a new reptile breeder. I'm competing in Chris Eaton's 15 Minutes of Lame contest. I have this idea for a reel. Would you want to do it with me? Even if that person's not in the contest, reach out to way bigger breeders. I know Andrew had Troy from Best Dressed Balls, who they're like really good friends, but do stuff for him last year to like endorse him and things like that. I think Antoine, when he did it, he had Justin endorse him. Like,
it's the friends you make along the way, because we're still buddies with like Reggie and Bree. We didn't really know Bree before the contest. We got to meet Brian at from Heathen Hatchery
at Daytona.
Daytona, and that was the first time we'd met him. And if we hadn't done the contest, like, he may not have like met us. But we like did a collab video together. We, but he's like in Florida, right? So like,
he's like 30 minutes away from me.
Yeah, there's not a lot of opportunities for us to have met him because he doesn't have a show like you do. So I feel like there are some friendships that like we made that are specifically because of the contest.
Honestly, we met Justin and like were able to get Justin to be part of the documentary because of the contest.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's one of the benefits for everybody who's on the fence, unless they're...
Sure. Well, I'm just saying, like, if you compete, it gives you the opportunity. You can also
make a documentary.
Well, I was going to say, it gives you
you too can make a documentary.
To reach out to people like Justin or other really, really big breeders with a creative, cool idea, because I think a lot of people do want to be part of it. Like,
some people don't. And don't push those people, because I remember there was one where we were going to be like, we wanted to go around a show and record people being like, ew, no, when we asked if they would vote for us, because we wanted to show that we were lame, and nobody was comfortable with that. Everybody was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to do that. So, they're not all hits.
I think benefits of being in the contest are getting your brand out there in a memorable way that other people in the community will reference for the future. I think that it gives you an opportunity to network with both people in a contest, the judges, Chris, people who are really involved with the 15 Minutes of Lame world, as well as just other people in the community. And then last, it is genuinely fun, and it helps you develop skills that you just wouldn't have done in the reptile hobby because there's not really another outlet for stuff like this.
Nice. So a word that we keep saying is community. So let's talk about some of the benefits for the community in terms of like what this contest does for the community.
I think it brings people together. I think it's like a good thing to happen, because there seems to be every so often, right, like something bad going around, like somebody found out somebody did something, or somebody's been doing something bad for a long time, and there's always like negativity somewhere. Or even if it's not like somebody doing a bad thing, it's like somebody having a horrible thing happen, like a fire or a injury. So just, at the end of the year, a nice little wrap up of just kind of, I don't say just positivity, because there is like kind of some good natured, like, smear campaigning. Like, I think it is just a positive thing going on for people to like join together and enjoy.
Yeah, I think that in the reptile community, there's so much like waiting and patience that deal with like buying a hatchling, growing up the hatchling, trying to get them to lock, but maybe your male won't lock for like 6 months when you really need that male to lock. And then the female's like, are they going to go? Or are they not going to go? And I feel like that another cool aspect is that the contest takes place in a time when all of your hatchlings have really hatched out already, like for your breeding season. You're starting to pair, but there's usually not like a whole lot of stuff going on for like this time of the year, and it gives you something to focus on that isn't the like patience game of ball pythons. And I think that that's useful. I also feel like that when it comes to the like community aspect of it, again, we kind of talked about it earlier, but you get the opportunity to meet people and interact with people that you never would have had that chance before. And I think that building up those connections is really valuable. It provides that avenue for it.
Nice. Yes, man, it's cool. Like that's one of my favorite things about this industry, just in general, is the community aspect. Like I met like a lot of really good people, present company excluded. No, I'm kidding.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, Courtney can, can like exclude or include the company.
But no, in all seriousness, I've met like a lot of really good people that I'm happy to know and happy to have in my life. So yeah, it's really dope, and it's just another opportunity to kind of like be involved in the community and in a really unique kind of way, like you mentioned before.
I have a question for you before we jump on before we jump to the next topic real quick. People who are in the community right now, who are people who haven't been on 15 Minutes of Lang that you would like to see come on in 2024?
Armless Angels.
Armless Angels?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and plug the sponsors real quick. Though. Armless Angels, Ancestral Royal Pythons, Ebony and Ivory Reptiles. So Shane is a sponsor, but obviously he's been on there. So. Let's see who
Ivory haven't, because Matt used to go to the
Zoom calls.
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't been on it. Unless he just doesn't want to.
Let me see who else. I mean, it's a lot of people. It's hard. Like that's a hard question. It's a ton of people. Wiz Constrictors. Yeah. Emilio.
Yeah.
Villarino Reptiles. Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's a ton of people.
All right.
Would you go on?
Would I go?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. I didn't want to say myself because I didn't want to be that self-centered. I mean, that was really like number one. I was like,
yeah, you can't request to be on. Have you ever been to any of the Zoom calls?
Like early, like back in the day. Like those are Zoom calls that Antoine was talking about.
They're a bit unhinged. Just anybody who's watching,
they've gotten worse.
They're fun, but they're unhinged. Like
Patrick from Chimera started showing up, but it just got it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been on in a while. Like it was probably 2021 was probably the last time. I think the first time was like 2020. Then I went on one in like 2021, but I hadn't been on one in a while.
Yeah. Well, you could put in that good word. Chris would have been here, except
he had to have his own show.
yeah. Like damn, screw that show. No.
Okay, I apologize. You were getting ready to ask a question before I'd interrupted you.
Oh no, you good. So kind of like wrapping up this segment and talking about the actual contest in terms of y'all's participation. So looking back on it, is there anything that you would have done differently if you had the chance?
I don't. That's a good question.
No, we won.
I would say I don't think that there's anything that we would have done differently where I'm like, oh, we messed up here. I feel like we're awesome, so. I know. Now I just feel like I'm conceited, and
I mean, Courtney makes a good point. You won, so like, not good.
Again, I'm jealous of people who are doing it again this year, right? So like, it's not necessarily things I would have done differently then, but I've already started of like people have been like, oh, can you give me like some recommendations or ideas? And I'll be like, you know, what would be really funny is if you like did this. And I'll be like, oh, that's a good idea. I wish I could do that. I would.
Yeah, I would say there is one specific idea that we've talked about with somebody where I wish that we had thought of it when we were doing it. I don't want to say, well. No. All right, because I don't want to like, because we talked to somebody specifically. It wasn't,
Okay. You have to tell me after we end recording.
Yeah.
big dreams start in small towns. Small Town Xotics is a family-ran business that specializes in high-quality ball python morphs, western hognoses, and select leopard geckos. They are proud members of US Art Florida, and the Orient Society. Stay connected with Small Town Xotics on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Witness their journey as they grow their business and showcase their animals to the world. Thank you, Small Town Xotics, for sponsoring the show.
Art comes in many forms. At Armless Angels, it comes to life.
All right, so moving on to the actual documentary itself. So at what point did the green light kind of like click and y'all said, hey, I want to do a documentary? I remember talking about it a little bit like last time y'all were on the show. I don't remember if we talked about it on the show or after it. Sometimes that runs together, but like what led to that?
So I like, my undergrad is English with a concentration in creative writing, and then my master's is in creative writing. I love storytelling, all of that stuff. At the time, my like dream when I was in college was like, if I can make like $30,000 a year, just enough to get by writing fantasy novels, that'd be like the dream for me. And I was silly at the time to think like $30,000 is like all that I like. There's no way. But
yeah, I'm expensive, so
now we have all this
very
snake
high maintenance wife he ended up with.
So I love storytelling. We love like books, and as I got more and more into videography, I really liked like just documentaries, like in that kind of form of storytelling. And I wanted to be able to make a story like that, but I didn't really know what the topic would be on. And as we got in, there was multiple different times where it was like trying to make a documentary on like the Sunset Project, even though there wasn't like a lot of the initial stuff we didn't like film. So like there'd be huge gaps in it with like when it comes to B-roll and like huge portions that we didn't document. Then there was like one where it's like we have 2 imports from Africa, and it's like, oh, it'd be super cool to do a documentary on this to see like if they prove out and all that stuff. But that is so long into the future, and there's no guarantee it's going to happen, that would be like kind of hard to do. And if we did do that, that'd be like years into the future before that would get released. And then as we started doing the contest, like partly through the contest, I was like, let's do the documentary about this. Like the contest would be like perfect for it because it provides a very, very easy, like proactive goal, story, like working towards it, and then an end result. And we decided that we wanted to film for the documentary before we won. And if we didn't win, we'd be like, well, shit. Like, so, but we ended up winning. So it made it really, really easy. Though it was the perfect story for it. So there were multiple ideas that we had tossed around and even started like recording various pieces for, but it was when the contest happened and we won, it was like, this is it. This is the perfect avenue for it. We're actually going to be doing a like mini series this upcoming year, but not on the. We can talk about that later on. So,
okay, yeah, I want to hear that. I want to hear that. Yeah. So it comes out what, December 1st?
Yes, December 1st. Same day that the contest.
Same day. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't want to spoil it, and I mean I will personally watch it anyway, probably multiple times, but like speak to like the angle, right?
Yeah. So it is, I watch a ton of reptile YouTube. Like pretty much if you have a reptile channel, it doesn't matter if you have 6 subscribers. If I find your video, I'm going to watch it. And because
I'm not going to watch any of them, not even his.
She doesn't. Like, so I had seen like other documentaries that were made like in various different like niches, so both in like reptiles and in like other stuff. And I felt like that when it comes to the reptile hobby, not that there are amazing people who have amazing videography in the reptile hobby. Again, like Brandon Nixon is one. I think Brian Cusco's like one of the like his like cinematography style is like what inspired a lot of like our early stuff and even now. But I didn't feel like that there was any at the time documentary for ball pythons that actually felt like a documentary and didn't feel just like a long YouTube video. And our documentary, by the way, is just a long YouTube video. Like there's not like not trying to
Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's nothing like that. But I did try to set up the style where it felt very reminiscent of like a documentary that you would watch on like the History Channel or something like that. Like try to do like professional studio lighting, like multiple camera angles, like things like that. Sound design within it. Overall, I'm very, very happy with it. And it took us a whole year to make it. I would say that if I were to go back and do it again, I would probably add on an entire other year of production time.
Yeah.
Like just to be able to get like more B-roll. And that's part of the things. The scope was way too big. Like we traveled all over the country for this. And it was, for the first one we've ever done, it was a lot. Like,
yeah, I think so. I made a joke that I don't watch Steven's YouTube videos. I do. And I also help make them and I help edit them. But like, if you look at our videos from the beginning of this year, if you look at our videos from August and you compare it to videos that he is making now, after he did those, like after he worked on the documentary, I feel like you can tell just even within months between like video style before documentary completion and after documentary completion. It is very interesting to see how much Steven's like editing has evolved, and how he like uses, like we just put one out. We did a YouTube video on our trip to St. Louis this last week. And he like talk about Atlanta, and now we're in a skyline view of Atlanta. And I was like, when did you get, like, how did you get this? I mean, I know you brought it offline and it's like free online, but like,
well, it's not, I paid for the subscription,
whatever,
but
I get that you pay, whatever. I know that he didn't record that little clip, but like, look at our videos 1 year ago. There's no Atlanta skylines 1 year ago. It's improved a lot. Also little things like when like we'd mess up, we'd like do a little pop-up of like, oh, this is what we meant to say. Now it's like interactive and it like flows in and out. I don't know. It's just changed a lot since he started editing such a long piece.
Yeah. I apologize. I had gotten like off on a tangent. What was your original question?
God, I don't even know. We talk a lot.
I'm sorry.
So no, we were just talking about shit.
I don't
remember what the original question was. Like we were way away from the original question. I know what my next question was though.
Okay.
And it was probably playing off the other question. So I just go right into like the next question, because you had mentioned like some of the challenges. You had talked about like scope. So like talk about some of the challenges, I guess, starting with like scope. And I think my first question was about the angle and kind of like, yeah.
So I have a good one for the challenges. So we actually recorded some interview with Shane and Chris
during the contest,
before like early in the contest, like late November, like a couple weeks after the contest started. We recorded some interview with them, and we used up like an entire day of their time to get this these like interviews recorded. And I think Steven used 4 seconds of those interviews in the documentary because the questions that we were asking were too specific, or
it wasn't a conversation. It was like we would ask a question, they would answer it, we would go to the next question,
and we weren't asking the same questions that we needed once it came time to like put the video together. So that first one, like, it was more of a trial run where we did the thing and we got all the, and also like the lighting changed so much because we're like in a hotel room and we brought all our lights and everything, but it's like a brown, like bland
1980s, like serial killer movie. That's what you can imagine.
Like it looks like it's in sepia. Like it's just it's such a different vibe from the rest of it. But again, like, you know, it'll hop over to this one like phrase Chris says that Steven pulled out of that interview. But we reshot all of those interviews because it just we didn't do it right the first time.
Yeah. That was one. That whole interview, I learned at that point the skills required to be a good interviewer is completely different than recording a video. Like being able to get people to talk and be natural, so that way you're having a conversation, but guiding it in the direction you need is a skill. And that was our first attempt at it, and I did not do a good job. Like
this is a little unrelated, but the first time I watched Steven's like raw cut, like before he finalized everything, you know, we interview Shane Kelly, Justin from Canova, Antoine, Chris, Donato, and Brian, I think are the big interviews. And I noticed, you know, it jumps from person to person, and it was like 3 times in a row that when like Antoine's like segment stopped, he was like still in the middle of talking, and I'm like,
I would do a crossfade on somebody.
Yeah, like he just was still talking, and I'm like, you cut him off, and he goes, Antoine doesn't take a breath. He does not take a breath.
For like 2 hours, and he breathed 3 times. 3 times in the 2 hours I interviewed him.
He's like, man, he gets so excited, and then he just kept talking, and then he would be off on, it was great content, but
Antoine killed it. He is a natural, but no, it's like there wouldn't be a place to cut it because he just like.
And I just thought it was so funny because I was like, it really looks like you're just cutting Antoine off in the middle of the segment.
But no, I apologize.
That's funny as hell.
It's great. You did great, but
all right, give me just 2 seconds.
So every time you interviewed somebody, and you spoke to it a little bit actually earlier, and I guess every time you interviewed somebody, you kind of had like a ultimate goal of kind of like what you wanted to pull from that person for that interview. So what does the thought process before look like in terms of determining what you want to pull from this person in this specific interview?
Yeah.
I think it's a lot wider. Like after that first one, we realized our questions were too specific. So in later interviews, it was like, we're going to hit everything we can possibly think of and be able to pull like a phrase out. So we would ask things like kind of icebreaker questions, like, do you have a funny story? Or like, what is something that like caught you off guard about reptiles, something like that. Just to get people comfortable talking like it's a conversation. And like, we're not using that necessarily in the documentary, but how long did we interview Justin?
We were there like a whole day, 3 hours-ish, probably total time. And
I mean,
I don't know exactly how much like hours, because I haven't put them all together. And this is, I can jump back to this in a second. So there is all of the files for the raw footage is easily over 100 gigabytes.
Wow.
There's probably 10 to 20 hours worth of like interview stuff of all the people in there, and we used 1 hour and 25 minutes of for everything. That's what the documentary is, and that's across everybody. Like everybody has like a sliver of the 1 hour and 25 minutes. So there's a ton of stuff that didn't make it in the documentary just because it didn't fit, even though it might have been hilarious or super interesting, but it just didn't fit.
Gotcha.
Your question was,
what type of
like
how do we, like, what were we trying to pull out of people?
Exactly.
So once we had the idea of the documentary, I had like storyboarded out like, all right, we need to have a introductory scene that hooks the audience's attentions and sets expectations. And then that, like, we built that scene. There would be one where it's like, all right, we need to introduce Chris and the contest and like establish this as like our setting, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that way that could go on. Then it would be, we need to have a scene that introduces us as characters, since we are essentially the protagonists because we're the ones who end up winning the contest in the documentary. We would have a scene. The next scene we did was so it established hook the audience interest, establish Chris in the contest as the setting, establish us as characters. Then we wanted to provide context, and it was what is like stuff about the history of the hobby was the next scene. And then stuff like that. That was a lot of Justin stuff. Talking about how things were when he got in, talking with Chris and Donato during the eyeballs days, and we pull information out of them. We would talk about it, but I knew where I was using that in the scenes. The next scene was, so it was history of the hobby. Then it was challenges new breeders face. That was the next scene that we focused on. And again, we would ask questions about that. And I think that some of the most insightful things from the entire documentary, besides like entertainment aspect, that specific scene. Like I think that scene is probably one of my favorites in terms of just like straight up value to somebody who's getting into the hobby today. Hearing from Chris and Donato, who they put over $250,000 into eyeballs, and like their challenges and mistakes combined with Justin's, combined with things that have happened in the hobby. I think that scene's one of my favorites. Next one was establishing the contest itself, and that's mostly Shane and Antoine talking about their experiences with the contest. Then it was talking about year 3, which was our year, and people's reactions to our like campaigns and stuff like that. Then it was the results of the contest, which that's probably my favorite scene in terms of like impact. Like it's just, that's the climax of the documentary. And then the last one is the denouement, the like reaction to the climax, what other people thought about us winning, essentially. And that's the documentary. So I knew that before we shot anything. I had built that out, that storyline.
That makes sense.
So
that makes perfect sense. Did you include like any footage from like any of the reels from like
Yes.
y'all's year or any other
Just
years?
ours though. We didn't share anybody else's in the documentary, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. So part of it was
I could have made a whole thing on that, just like highlighting everybody's. Yeah.
There's like, so it's only going on YouTube, but YouTube, just in case anybody who isn't in the YouTube sphere, is super serious about copyright stuff. So like we actually have written permit from anything that's in there. It's either stock footage that I've paid a license for, any stock audio that like I've paid a license for, or it is like written permission from the people who actually produced it. So like there's some clips from Shane in there. There's some clips from Chris in there. It is
Of their like YouTube videos.
Yeah. I think there's one from Celtic Balls too, because they did a live that I pulled out of part. But again, like part of that is like I didn't want to infringe on anybody's like copyright stuff.
That makes perfect sense. Total sense. So in terms of like some of the stuff that didn't make the cut, are you going to repurpose some of that and use it for like some additional content at another point?
We've used a little bit of it already. Chris and Donato had some pretty good like stories and anecdotes that Steven edited down and gave to Chris to post on his own because we weren't going to post it on our
they
page.
Were raunchy.
A little
and
raunchy.
politically, like just not politically correct in any way, or hilarious, but there's no way
we're
we
not
could
putting
have
our
posted
name
those.
on those.
Like-
So I think that you've got a lot of good stuff with like Justin's interview that we could probably use at some point.
Yeah.
So we're doing a mini series next year on like what we consider to be like the most successful, not what we consider, just like some people who are considered the most successful. We're not going to hit them all because we don't have access to all of them. We can't go all the way up to Billy. We don't know Ozzy. You know, there's not everybody's going to be in that. But the people that we do know and have a relationship with, we're going to kind of follow and do little like videos on.
So this video, the documentary is an hour and 25 minutes long. These ones, we're imagining them to be closer to like 30 minutes, maybe an hour at the most, like smaller in scope for the miniseries.
So,
And
but
yeah.
we can use things like, clips from Justin's interview for stuff like that, maybe
Yeah, if it
fits.
Yeah, if it fits. But right now, we've talked to a handful, and it's not like anything's like written. We've just talked to them, and they're like, "That sounds awesome. Let's do it." But I think we have Brock Wagner, Troy Schroeder, Bob Vu, Josh Lumberg, and I don't think Patrick's actually from Chimera.
I don't know Patrick's last name.
Yeah, actually, I don't know.
It's just
either.
from
McKnight.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
How embarrassing.
Yeah.
I knew that.
But he hasn't actually fully committed to it yet because he has to talk to Andre. But hopefully they're down for it too. And we'll see. So on how it goes, because again, the idea is we would go out to them and we would follow them around for like 3 or 4 days, getting like just literally recording them working in the shop, maybe vending a show, doing like their like regular day life, not just like snake stuff, and then have a sit down interview where we are able to tell a compelling story about them, not necessarily like how did they get to the hobby and how did they get to where they are now, but that might be part of it, but like something unique for each one. Like,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's dope. That's gonna be real fun. And it's just like all these people are people who have been on Snakes and the Fat Man, like regardless if it's 15 minutes.
This
Go
one,
ahead.
the miniseries doesn't have anything to do with
Okay, gotcha.
Snakes and the Fat Man. This is just like
This is ours. Chris doesn't
Gotcha.
know this.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Patrick's been on it, but and I mean, Bob and them, they've all probably done full length
episodes.
We talk to them, and those are just kind of like relationships that we have.
Yeah. And again, if somebody like backs out or if it just doesn't work schedule wise, it might not be all of them, but those are the people we've talked about so far that are interested in doing it. So
Yeah, that's gonna be dope. And timeline, like when do y'all think y'all will start working on that?
We gotta ask my mom to babysit.
yeah, I would say so.
In there.
Bob is probably the easiest because he lives about like 2 hours south of us. I would say our current plan is like get through the holidays. Once the holidays are passed, we'll probably reach out to him and be like, hey, are you still interested? Trying to find a time that works for us.
It would be really cool to like follow him to Daytona. You know,
Yeah, that would be cool.
to Tinley.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool.
I mean, Daytona would be cool too. It'd actually probably be a little easier, but it's also way later in the year.
For March 10th.
Yeah, March 10th.
Gotcha.
Like Troy is in one of the
Iowa?
states, Idaho, Iowa, not the one with the potatoes. So that's a lot farther for us. Josh is either in Arkansas or Kansas. I don't know the difference.
It's just Midwest. And Brock's in Nebraska, so that's also going to be a long
It's a bunch of states that, no, I'm kidding. I've been there. But they're not near us. I think Patrick, if we can get Patrick and Andre, they're up in Maryland, so that's close by us.
I think they're Virginia.
Virginia, that's
Yeah,
all
they're
the
Virginia.
same to me. I don't know the difference between these states. They are in Virginia. They're near Richmond, which
Yeah.
anyway. So Bob would be easy. Patrick and Andre. I mean, it's still 6 hours, but it's closer than Iowa.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
States.
And then
Y'all smell toast.
yeah.
You were about to say something, and then what?
Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and then like if Billy watches this and we have to go up, or we fly up to Billy and all that, and I commit Courtney to going to Canada. So I've never been outside the country actually. So
Neither have I.
I've
Neither
been
have
all
I.
over the U.S.
I was supposed to go to Canada last year, 2021, or was it 2020? I mean, 2022, was it? Yeah, it was 2022. I was supposed to go like September 2022, like with work, but it fell through and I ended up not going. But that would have been pretty cool.
I'm supposed to go to. I like got a passport because I was gonna go to Ecuador in like 2015 or something, but again, just didn't happen. And then I changed my name when I married Steven, so now my passport's not even good. I would have to get a new passport before.
I probably need to get a new passport too because it's been a while since I've had mine.
Yeah, I got the passport and everything. I was ready to go, but then, like I said, it fell through. I ended up not going.
Yeah.
But that would have been cool because I would have tried to make it up to mutation creation.
He's in Canada. I'm just kidding.
Say again. He's in Canada. He's in Canada.
Who are you talking about?
If we, and again, it's there's so much travel involved, and there's only a limited amount, like where schedules work and stuff like that. Like, we'd love to get to everybody. I think it'd be super cool to like hit so many of like the big names, but there's just no way we can do all of them.
Yeah, like it's not. We don't get paid for that. You know?
Yeah, we're paying for this out of our own pocket. This is just like I like
Steven likes taking
videography.
videos.
Yeah.
So speaking of videography and all that kind of stuff, so talk about some of like the technical stuff in terms of like cameras that you use, the lighting, like what was kind of in your bag, what all did you have to like take to all the different spots and kind of all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I will say the documentary is shot with very slightly different equipment than what we use now. So the majority of the documentary was shot with a Canon R7 and a Canon M50 Mark II. And the Canon M50 Mark II is like an entry-level mirrorless camera. If anybody asks, like, what camera should I get if I'm just starting YouTube, I always recommend the Canon M50 Mark II. I think it's the best bang for the buck. It's very user-friendly. It's fairly inexpensive. I don't know exactly what they are, maybe $600-ish. The only bad thing about that camera is the lens mount that it uses has been deprecated, so they don't make lenses for them anymore. And at a certain point, they're not making any new lenses for it. And at a certain point, they're just going to stop making lenses for it. So it's like, that's the only bad thing on it, because now they're moving all their stuff to the R mount, which Canon R7. So I like Canon cameras. The Canon cameras they have amazing color science. I actually feel like that their colors that they reproduce are just beautiful and warm and really, really pleasing. I think, again, the other big video camera brand, at least when you're kind of like looking at this like $1,500 to $2,000 range for a camera, is Sony. And the Sony FX30 is actually a significantly better video camera. But the problem with it is that it's not quite as user-friendly, and its colors tend to go towards the blue hues. And I just love the warmth from the Canon cameras. That doesn't mean you can't compensate for it, but those are just like things on it. So Canon cameras are what we use. For lenses, I prefer prime lenses. So you can have like the lens that comes with your camera, which is most of the time like a zoom lens. Zoom lenses are super versatile. But the problem with the zoom lenses, specifically the kit lenses, is that their f-stop, which is like how wide the lens opens up to let in light, is significantly higher on zoom lenses than they are on prime lenses. Prime lenses, like you can essentially like open the lens up super, super wide, let in a lot of light, and it improves your picture quality, and it lets you get that like, it's bokeh. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Yeah, bokeh. It is like you have the subject in perfect focus, and then it blurs in like in the background, and it looks very, very cinematic. And it's way easier to get that with a lower f-stop. So I shot a lot of the stuff at like f1.8, f2.0, f2.2. I think the highest I used was like f2.8 or something like that. All of this stuff is super technical. If you're not into cameras, it doesn't really make sense. But Canon cameras, prime lenses, a lot of it shot 35 millimeter on a crop sensor, which ends up pushing it to about 56 millimeters. Audio, for almost all of the audio, it was using the Canon camera's built-in preamps, but at a certain point, I think for Antoine's and Shane's interview, I'd gotten an actual audio preamp, which is just so much better. And then we use lav mics for almost all of it. So it just hooks onto the collar. Hopefully you don't like pay a bunch of attention to it, but you can see them in all the shots. And lighting, we have a Flashpoint 18-inch ring light that is bicolor, so it is adjustable. So that way you can like take the temperature of the light and set it to like how you want it to like be really warm or be really, really cool. And you can adjust the brightness and dimness. Then we have GVM like LED panels as like other lights for the studio stuff. So that way, if we'd have like the key light being the primary would be the ring light, primarily illuminating the subject's face, we might have a GVM setting up a backlight to provide like a highlight on their shadow. And it makes it look really, really cinematic. It makes it look really good. And overall, the lighting is the most important part if you're going to be doing video. Way more important than the camera. I would say it's lighting, lens, then camera is the most important. So I know that was a lot. I know it was super.
No, that was perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. And so y'all had to lug all that around. Did y'all flew a lot of the places,
that's why
right?
He brought me.
So we drove almost everywhere except for the New York trip. And then when we drove, we just pack up the car and all that stuff with it.
Yes,
for the
that
New
was
York trip,
very
we used Chris's lights because we shot at Chris's house and everything.
Nice.
So,
and you were editing it in
Adobe Premiere Pro. So
okay. Nice.
I really like Premiere Pro, but I don't recommend it, especially for new people, because the learning curve is massive. It is really complicated and it is really powerful. But if you're trying to learn how to edit videos, I feel like with Premiere Pro, you will spend 20 minutes just figuring out how to cut it because you don't know how, and it's not user friendly. Like it's like people go to school to learn Premiere Pro.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I got Adobe Premiere Rush.
Yeah, Premiere Rush
is
like the lighter version of it.
Yeah,
like
I got Ancestral Pro. I'm sorry.
Yes. So Rush that's what I recommend if people want to start, because Rush gets you familiar with Premiere Pro. And then once you're confident in Rush, it's much easier to switch over to Pro. But if you try to go to Pro without having ever done any video editing experience, you're going to get lost and it's going to be frustrating. And you're going to end up spending, at first, way more time watching YouTube videos, figuring out how to do simple stuff than you're going to be spending actually editing the videos. And that's what happened with me. Like, I just learned
Pro is not easy.
Yeah.
At least not for me.
I love it though. You get so much control over everything. Like the thing that I'm getting ready to work on, because I try to learn something new when it comes, like once I feel like I've gotten a grasp of like the last concept. The last thing I started learning was sound design. I've been doing that a lot. I feel like I have a good feel for sound design now. Next thing I'm going to learn is color grading. I've tried doing color grading before, but I am actually going to really, really work at it now. So before I was like, this is way more work than what I wanted. And I didn't like color grading the snakes because I felt like if I color graded snakes, it could make the colors not look like what they do in person. So we wouldn't color grade snakes. And then it's like, what's the point? Like I'm putting in all this work to learn the skill when we're not going to use it. But I do want to use it for the miniseries.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And like the color, I feel like adds to like the theme too.
Oh, 100%. Like there's some. Have you watched The Magicians?
The Magicians? Is that a movie?
It's a TV series. The Lee Brosnan is the one who wrote the book, but it was a series on
trash book. By the way.
What I don't remember what it was on. They do a great job because
Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun book. It's a fun show.
So in it, there is like the real world, and then there is like this magical world that they go into. And when they're in the real world, they color grade it so that way it's like very bluish, kind of bleak tones.
Gray. Yeah.
And when they're in the magical world, it's very golden and warm tones, and you can see like how powerful just color grading is. And it's not like they're just throwing a filter on it. Like they're genuinely highlighting different aspects to get different moods and themes. In the opening scene of It, there is I don't remember the character's name, but he's in the yellow rain jacket. They desaturate colors and they highlight the yellows. That way it so pops. Like the color grading is awesome. It's super cool, but it's also very, very in-depth. And you can, if you do a bad job, you can ruin your footage color grading it. And that's what I'm worried about. Like,
yeah, I know when you said you were going to do it to the miniseries, I was like,
like,
do you want? No, I'm just going to close the bathroom first.
Like you can ruin it for good, or you can just just ruin that version.
So when you color grade, you shoot your footage in log. So right now I don't shoot in log. So log, it looks like if you get log format from a camera, it is like desaturated. It looks kind of gray and like very flat. It's like it reduces the contrast of the highlights and the shadows. And the reason why is that when you desaturate it, instead of having like a linear color progression, you have a logarithmic color progression. You retain details in the shadows and in the highlights better, but you can't just use that footage because it looks not quite in black and white, but it's not production ready. Anybody would see it and be like, what is wrong with this? But because it retains the detail, you can do stuff where it's like, okay, I know that if you're doing like a horror movie, that I have a figure that is standing in the shadows watching the protagonist. So I want to bring up only the shadows and you retain the detail there. So that way just these shadows are brighter, just enough to see the silhouette that's watching them. And I want to bring down the highlights. That way it looks like that they are it's much more dramatic, and you can do all that stuff with logarithmic. With linear, it's just you're increasing the saturation or you're increasing the exposure across the board. Or you might try to increase the exposure in the shadows, but you just can't see anything there because it was too dark and it blew them out. Or the same for the highlights. It's technical, and I cannot do it yet. But that's the thing that I'm trying to learn now.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be dope when you get it down though.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I said, the problem with it in general is with snakes is you can, just like in Photoshop or something, if you are a good colorist, you can completely change the colors of anything in video, and if you're good, nobody would even know. They wouldn't watch the video and think like, oh, this has been edited. You wouldn't know, and you could completely change everything. So that's why I don't like doing it with the snakes.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's dope, man. Hopefully you get that down soon.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, when we post
are you just like watching YouTube videos to figure out how to do it, or you're taking like a class or something like that?
I bought him color grading for dummies.
But yeah, YouTube videos is mostly how I learn stuff like this now. Like, as I'll just like start going on a binge, watching color grading videos or various different sound design videos, things like that.
YouTube University.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. So in terms of like promoting, what all are y'all doing for promoting? Obviously coming on lives and stuff like that, but what else are y'all doing, and how have like folks kind of received it so far?
We've just kind of talked about it a lot on like our own YouTube videos. We've talked about it in person. Like, we've done a couple shows this year, and while we're talking to people, we'll be like, oh, by the way, we're doing this documentary. And if they follow our YouTube, a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm super excited for that. But we've also, Steven's released a few trailers on Instagram and on YouTube Short. And then Chris had the idea to print off these posters and VHSs. No, DVDs.
Did we talk about that before or after the show?
I think that was before the show started. Or wait, did we talk about that on the show?
It bleeds together sometimes. I can't remember.
I think
we talked about it though.
Yeah. But we're having. I think I made the joke that I wasn't going to sign 100 posters.
Yeah.
That was. So we're doing stuff like that to promote it. That was Chris's idea, and I think Chris is promoting it quite a bit too because he's excited about it because he's like the focus of it.
But yeah, we're doing this press tour, and thank you so much for having us on. Like,
thank you for coming on.
Trying to keep it top of people's mind, trying to make people excited about it. Hopefully, we don't hype it up too much where they watch it and they're like, "This is straight up garbage." But I think it'll be good. I don't think it is Netflix level documentary, but
I've seen some Netflix documentaries that this is way better than.
It is. I do think that if you look at it from the point of view of like, this is the first documentary we've ever made, it's just on our YouTube channel, I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it. Like,
nice. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it, man. I cannot wait to watch it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch it like several times, to be honest.
What's hard is like I have it on like my Google Photos or whatever, and like I'll talk to like my mom or sister or like a friend in the hobby and be like, oh, here, watch it. But I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. I gotta like wait for it to premiere so that we get the views.
Yeah, we got it. So it's gonna be on our channel and on Chris's channel, where it's gonna premiere at the exact same time. So we're doing a live with Chris at 8 p.m. on December 1st in order to kick off this year's 15 Minutes of Lame contest.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean that like people may start campaigning before it, but that's like when voting opens. Which I don't know if we want to talk about that in a second of like, what are the rules this year, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. Talk about it.
But yeah, so we're doing that live with Chris at 8, and then at 9 p.m., either one of our channels is when the documentary is going on, is premiering. So it'll be a live premiere. It's an hour and 25 minutes long. So if you guys want to watch it, stop in at 8, watch the live for like a little bit of like a pregame.
If you've got 4 hours of time you want to dedicate to.
It's a Friday too, so.
Yeah. Well, we know that nobody in the reptile hobby does anything.
Yeah.
And so you say you want to talk about the rules a little bit?
Oh, for the contest this year.
Yeah. So, well, I don't. Why are you pointing at me? You want to talk about it?
Oh, so I was.
I don't know what the rules are.
So, just like last year, there is a popular vote and there are 3 judges' votes.
Mm-hmm.
So the popular vote is 25% of the total score, and then each judge gets 25%. If there's a tiebreaker, and 1 is the tiebreaker. So for the popular vote, anybody who's watching who's either part of the contest, not part of the contest, and wants to vote, You can vote once every 24 hours throughout the voting period. And the voting period is December 1st, and then it ends at midnight. I think it's like 11:59 or whatever it is on Christmas Eve. So the results are going to be posted on Christmas Day on Snakes and the Fat Man. And I'm super, super excited. So it's not nearly as long as it was last year. Last year, I
It was already open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think last year was like 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that for the whole contest. This year, it's like it's right around 4 weeks. So it is every single day. You can go out and vote for whoever you want to vote for. It's going to be at snakesandthefatman.com. I don't know the actual slug for the end of it, but just snakesandthefatman.com, and I'm sure you'll see it. So I'm super, super excited about it. And I don't know if you want to talk about like what you are looking for from.
Yeah. So for us to vote for someone, what we're looking for is do they campaign? Do they compete? Even if it's not campaigning the way like Shane campaigned, right, where he went on like a political campaign trail and stuff like that. Even if it's not in that way, if you put your own spin on it, that's fantastic. But we want to see that you're putting effort into it and that you appreciate that it takes effort to win. We also want to think that this is something that you're going to be doing for a while and you're going to be making waves.
In terms of the reptile hobby.
Yeah. Well, not competing.
Yeah,
we want you to compete every year. But like in 5 years, will everyone know your name? Then that's the type of person I want to vote for. And then the last thing is the interview. Like we want to go back and watch all the interviews because I think it would be hard for us to vote for someone if we wouldn't watch an hour-long interview with them on Chris's show.
Yeah. If we feel like that an hour-long interview is going to be painful and we're like, there's no way that this person can do an hour-long interview, that it's not necessarily like they are 100% ruled out, but that is like convince us that you can do it.
But it is hard because there's a lot of people who already check the two boxes that, nobody has campaigned yet, but there are a lot of people who have checked the good interview and
they'll be here.
and like solid presence in the business or hobby. So it would be hard to vote for someone who doesn't check one of those two boxes because there are people who really do.
Yeah, essentially, if there's somebody who checks those two boxes and they campaign like at least decently well, it's very likely. Like that's what, if you can get all three, you are very likely going to get our vote. And if there's multiple people who get all three, it's probably going to come down to the campaign. Like how well did you campaign?
Gotcha. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what everybody does this year and see like what new comes out of it this year.
Yeah.
And see how it just kind of continues to like progress and like evolve, and it's really cool seeing like what people do.
I think every year somebody puts their own spin on it, and that's what makes it fun, right? Like if Shane had never campaigned the way he campaigned, if Antoine had never, like put the effort into it that he put into it, there wouldn't be
the prestige.
It wouldn't be as exciting to win. You would just win and be like, hell yeah, I won. But like being able to like be like, oh, I'm up there with Antoine and Shane. Heck yeah, like, that's what I want. Somewhat
related, which Chris never ended up doing it because he had all the medical stuff, but did find out that I am the 7th hottest man in the reptile hobby, according to Chris's poll or whatever he did.
According to the 57 votes I cast for him every day for a month, he still came in 7th.
Shout out to Mike for winning and being the hottest man on the reptile.
Oh yeah, Mike's funny.
Yeah, Mike's still funny. Yeah, you're right.
Like, I
didn't even know I won. I didn't even know I won. Like, damn.
He's like, nobody sent me an email.
Yeah, when you're that hot, you don't even pay attention. It's like, wait, I won? Okay.
Steven
Another day in the office.
What do you want to see from it? As somebody who's not part of the contest right now, what do you? Yeah.
I want to see everybody participating. Like, I really want to see like some really cool stuff. Whether it's reels, whether it's something that we haven't seen yet, and I can't even think of. I just want to see people be creative, and I really want to see like what everyone's spin on it is going to be. I definitely want to see kind of like what we talked about earlier in terms of like people collaborating and stuff like that. I think that's pretty cool. And I definitely want to see everybody grow from it, right? Because even if you don't win, I feel like there's still an opportunity to grow from it. And it makes it worth people's while and just to kind of like see people continue to like progress. And everyone's not, like you said earlier, everyone's not necessarily the person that goes out there and does that kind of stuff. But if we can see some people who don't typically do that kind of stuff, like kind of like push themselves, that'd be pretty cool.
I know, like, so Keys, like, they're in it this year, and so, like, they've got the show. I feel like that would be a good way to, like, you know, campaign is using the show if they're competing.
They have, like, a segment on their show, and, like, why are you going to vote for me? And it's they interview people, and they're going to be like, this is what, like...
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, like, so there's, I mean, I would like to see somebody do something different than the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily know what that different is, but I do want to see something new, something fresh.
And just in case anybody who is like thinking of this, that doesn't mean that the only things you can do are different. Like I think Shane made it amazing blueprint on going out there and just straight up campaigning. Like if you're just like, I'm just going to start off just straight up campaigning and just saying, vote for me and do all that stuff. I 100% believe that if you're consistent and you're putting in the effort, you'll get other ideas as you go. Like you can take what people have already done and use that as your starting point, and then you'll grow from there.
Yeah, I think because reels weren't a thing when like, because I mean Shane did like YouTube videos, right? Or he did like Instagram videos, but it wasn't reels yet. So I think we were some of the first to use reels the way we did.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean don't use reels. That just means like it wasn't around.
Yeah.
Back in their day, you know.
Reels are a super, super cool tool. I would say this, record vertically if you're going to do a reel. Like throw that out there. Record vertically. Like,
if you're collab with someone, please record vertically when you send them their video.
Unless it's a YouTube video, and then do horizontally, because we've gotten that too. Where,
unless you want to do a short. If you're going to do a short, you can go vertical.
Yeah.
It is the bane of my. We actually somebody had asked us to send over a little segment so that they can do like a collab with us, and like as we were hanging up, I made the joke like, "Oh, and you want that horizontally, right?" Ha ha ha! Like because it was for a reel, and then we get the shot like all set up, and Steven's like, "How's that look?" I said, "Horizontal."
Yeah, we almost shot it horizontally too.
We're gonna be that guy.
Yeah. So.
It's always funny when Steven like asks somebody and he'll be like, "Hey, if you could just send over like a horizontal video so I could put it on YouTube," and then we just get like 5 vertical videos, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, no, it has gotten to the point, and I apologize anybody who has just done it right the first time. You're like, why? Of course we're doing a reel. I'm going to send it vertical. I apologize. And there has been enough times where.
Well, vertical is easier. Like I feel like most people record on their phone, right? So the vertical is easier. It's just so funny when you like, I don't know. It's so funny to me. Because it's so out of place looking like in a YouTube video because you have to like, either you zoom way in or
But yeah.
Nice. So I guess in wrapping it up, like what are the major takeaways that people should have?
Have fun.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. It is cool and it's awesome to win, but you can get so much value just by competing. Like have fun.
Like I know it's not as easy as to just be confident, but like try to be confident because you never know. Like people will remember it, and as long as it's like good, as long as you want people to remember it, like it'd be good. I remember so many people's like videos that they did from last year. Like I remember them very well. People don't forget that stuff, so it really pays to put it out there.
If you post anything for the contest, mention us.
Tag us.
Yeah, tag us, mention us, we'll share it. Do the same thing for everybody else who's involved. Like
nice.
Don't worry about like, this is like the 12th one that we've done. Do it every time. Don't worry about that. Like
nice. Yeah.
I will say we will share all of them unless for some reason they're like
very
inappropriate. Like
yeah, we do have like a specific brand we use. So if it's like very, if it's stuff that would get you demonetized on YouTube, we're probably not going to repost it.
But like, there was one last year they teased Reggie because he did a video where
some gray sweatpants.
Yeah, he wore some pants that were a little too tight fitting, and then Brian from Heathen Hatchery, he did like kind of like
the exact same video,
but he had like stuffed an entire pillow down his pants, and Steven shared that video before. Without realizing, he just did, he just shared it straight to his story. And my mom was like, "What was that man doing with a football in his pants?" I had no idea what she was talking about.
Are you going to have any of the contestants on as guests throughout this thing, or anybody reach out to you?
I don't have anyone on the lineup right now. It might be like one slot open between now and then.
All right, so
let me check it out. Say again.
Oh, I was just going to say, anybody who's watching it, there's one opportunity to squeeze in.
I think it might be one slot. So that's the challenge of like booking out. Sometimes when I book out, sometimes too far, like I get way ahead of myself. And sometimes I want to pivot and do something different, but I don't necessarily have the opportunity. In fact, like all of December is booked right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. Nobody gets
Nobody. I mean, unless you want to do like a pop-up episode, we can do a pop-up episode. Come holler at me. We can do it. But yeah, so the rest of this month's book, and then all of December's book.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
So I try to stay ahead of myself, but then sometimes, like I say, I'd be wanting to pivot and like move things around and stuff like that. But I just stick to it. Like once I commit to it, I try to stick to it.
Yep. All right.
For sure.
I don't know because we did it beforehand, and you had hard questions at the end. I don't know if you're doing that on this one.
No hard questions at the end of this one. Okay. We'll wrap this one up like a normal one. But yeah, I appreciate y'all coming on, man. This has been dope. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the documentary. I know you said people might not. You didn't say people might not like it, but you said something. But I was like, nah, that's not going to be the case. It's going to be super dope. It's going to be super dope. So I got total confidence. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you again so much. It's been awesome, and we love talking to you. And we really appreciate you helping us promote the documentary, helping us promote the contest. I think it's
anytime, man. Anytime, man. Like I say, man, I love it, man. I love what y'all do. Y'all always do stuff with quality, man. From YouTube videos to stuff you post on IG, just everything is like top of the line. So definitely a lot of respect, man. Appreciate y'all coming out. To everyone who watches this later, the recorded version, appreciate all the support. Make sure y'all follow Leviathan Snakes or Leviathan Reptiles. Y'all make sure y'all follow Leviathan Snakes everywhere. I know most of all of my listeners probably are already following it, but if you're not, you're slipping. Make sure you follow them. Thank you for everyone for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.